Hey guys, welcome once again to Francis Dunnery Astrology. Today we're going to be talking about, on our Saturn series, we're going to be talking about Saturn in Libra. You can generally find your average Libran, kind of keeping things cool, it's a sign of balance and all that stuff. But more importantly, the Librans will often accommodate your wishes. I find a lot of the male Librans tend to be contrarians, like John Lennon, like that type of energy where you say yes and they just say no. But what it basically means is they're always looking to equalize the situation out. If you say A, they know that B exists, and so they let you know that B exists. So if you say this, they say that. If you say up, they say down. If you say left, they say right, because they're painfully aware of another side of the, of the coin. It's the duality of the coin. But in practical terms, they tend to be kind of looking to make things all right. It's not good for Librans to pander. They should find the Aries in them. Looking to keep, they don't want to be abrasive. They don't want to be nasty. They're kind of, and even in an aesthetic sense, they're very well laid out. They understand social roles. They understand the social rules. They can be dreadfully polite, very sensitive to being judged. They don't like the judgment. Now, why is that? Why would that be? Why would somebody be, not like to be judged or like to make everything so people think good of them? Because when you place Saturn in Libra, it becomes just that, a terrifying fear of what other people think. And the reason the source of that is the Librans themselves, who judge other people incessantly. Librans are harsh judges. They're constantly judging people all the time. You wouldn't know it by looking at them because they're very nice and they're very pleasant, but they're actually looking at you all the time, judging everything you do. And when you put Saturn in Libra, it means there's a terrifying fear of that, because these people become the worst judges on the planet. And one of the downsides of being a judge is that you judge yourself into a prison cell, your own prison cell. So, for instance, if I look at me now and I go, who's that guy I think he's in that blue shirt? I can't believe those people in blue shirt people. They're idiots in blue shirts. Can you believe he wears a blue shirt? Dude, I love my blue shirt. Well, the problem with that is that, let's say in 2 weeks' time, when somebody offers me $14 million, but I have to wear a blue shirt for the role, now I can't wear the blue shirt because I've judged myself. I've told everybody I can't stand blue shirts, and I can't believe now I've shut myself out of that part of life. Now the world of blue shirts is unavailable to me. And I've put myself in that prison cell. And so this is one of the problems with Saturn in Libra, with the harsh judgment, because we tend to blame, when people have Saturn in Libra, they tend to blame everybody else for their own issues. Remember my story about nobody wanting to take responsibility for their own shit? And it's notorious in relationships, Saturn in Libra or Saturn in the 7th house, is because the art of projection shows up very quickly, where you're just constantly blaming other people for what you do yourself. This is arguably the biggest single factor for the demise of everyone's relationship. It happens a lot in political groups that, they're constantly going on about these other people who do this and who do that and who do that, and yet they're doing it themselves. They're just the other side of the coin. Two wings of the same bird. So you say this, and automatically this comes into play. If you say, and this is the whole Jesus and Satan thing, the Jekyll and Hyde, the Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, the Beauty and the Beast, all of these things show up because if you're the one who's casting judgment on people, then if you didn't have that in you, you wouldn't know what it was. You're a sociopath narcissist. Yeah? How do you know that? And that's the big thing with Saturn in Libra. You're judging people, and you know that it exists because you've got it yourself, and you can't see it because it's your shadow. It sits here. And you can't see your own judgment. And the problem with it is, and the biggest problem with it is that you're judging yourself in that way 24/7. And unbeknown to you, you're constantly on alert from other people's judgment, who you presume are judging you like that, but quite frankly, we're not. Anyone with Saturn in Libra would have quite a lot to say about their own judgment of other people, believe me. maybe the Librans are, or maybe somebody with the moon in Libra, or people with prominent Libra in their chart. But most people aren't judging anybody like that. But you presume, because you're casting judgment on people all the time. Especially with Saturn in Libra, my God, it's really intense. It's like they're just doing it all the time, which puts them in a position where they're now incredibly sensitive to being judged themselves. And of course, what do they invite? When Saturn's in Libra, you're constantly surrounded by people who judge you. Why? Because you're judging them. People with Saturn in Libra just can't get away from their own judgment about themselves. You sow the seed and all of a sudden it comes back. What you're sowing out, you're putting that out there every day you're judging people 24/7. They did this and they did that. I can't believe he does this and I can't. Yet in your own way, you do the same. People complain about like Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler killed 60, he's an evil man. He's blah, 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 which is true. And then a fly lands on the dinner table and you go, and you kill the fly, showing your own disregard for life, just like Hitler. And you go, well, I wasn't human, so you're judging now. Now you're judging that humans are more important than any species on the planet. I mean, I could put this back in your face every single time. But when you have Saturn in Libra, you're completely terrified about being judged because you're the biggest judge yourself. And not only are you the judge of other people, you're the biggest judge of yourself. And that's the damage done. Because you can't get away with it. Even when there's nobody there, there's you sitting there judging yourself. Oh, what are people going to think? What are people going to think? What are they going to think if I do this? What are they going to think if I do that? Your entire life becomes about, what are they going to think if I do that? They're probably not thinking very much. They've got their own lives to deal with. But once you realize that, once you begin to understand that judgment, that thing that you do out of fear, and you replace it immediately with something good about the person, so you stop seeing yourself via the people who surround you. You stop seeing them as negative all the time, and you start replacing those things. Just go, I love the colour of that shirt. I love it. I actually like those shoes. Well, I know I've said I didn't like them shoes, but you know what? They have good points too. And you constantly keep forcing yourself to find the goodness and the good side of the coin. Then Saturn in Libra becomes your best friend, and it becomes a sense of fairness and equality. And finally, you stop judging yourself to death. That is probably much needed in the world. But it becomes your friend. No longer is it this terrible thing where you're just judging yourself all the time. Now it's a sense of people can come to you for for equality and fairness, and you become that because you can see both sides of the coin, not just the negatives. With Saturn in Libra or Saturn in the 7th house, all you see is the negatives. But if you constantly equal them out with positives and make yourself do the positives, now you can begin to have proper judgment. Or proper evaluation. That's a better word for it than judgment. You now become able to evaluate an accurate evaluation of what the situations really are and who the people really are. You see, the world's not as dark and twisted as Saturn in Libra would like you to think it is. All right? And that's our little chat for today. That's Saturn in Libra, Saturn in the 7th house. I hope you're enjoying the channel. Please press the subscribe button. Click subscribe, and I will carry on with my passing on this information to you guys. I hope you're learning something from it. I hope it's any astrological students out there, which I hope there are. I hope you can at least be reminded of how important Saturn is in the chart. So have a great day, guys. Press the subscribe button, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.